When we start a collaboration with university, we have to be patient and not expect the first results in the first 3 months. My recommendation would be start small, review what you are doing, and then grow together.
Hello, and welcome to the Partnerships podcast series by UIN. I am Balzhano Razbaeva, Manager Strategic Initiatives, and your host for today. In today's episode, we explore how industry and academia can collaborate to develop the next generation of responsible technology leaders. Our guest, Rainer Schmidt-Rudloff, Director of University Relations at Infineon Technologies, shares insights on Infineon's successful partnership with Unitech, a leading European university industry excellence program, and outlines how Infineon builds a strong talent pipeline and shares key lessons from the 2 decades of successful collaboration. It's my pleasure to welcome Rainer Schmidt-Rudloff, Director of University Relations at Infineon Technologies. And especially, we will be looking into how Infineon successfully partners with a program called Unitech, and that is a leading European university industry excellence program. Rainer is also a member of our UIN business group, so we always have very nice conversations. Thank you, Rainer, for joining.
Thank you very much, Belgium. It's my pleasure.
Just maybe a few words about Infineon as well. So Infineon is a global leader in semiconductor solutions. And as I mentioned, they partner with Unitech to connect with top STEM talent from 9 prestigious European universities. So it's a very interesting program. And I think especially today, we're very much looking into learning how can, for example, if you're working in industry, how can you better partner with programs like that when it comes to preparing universities to help the next generation leaders? But also from the Mosso company perspective, how can you align with some of those industry needs when it comes to educating the talent and then connecting back to universities and creating effective collaborations with them as well? Maybe just to set the scene and for us and for our audience to understand a little bit better what Infineon does and what Unitech collaboration really means, you can maybe tell us a little bit more about what motivated Infineon to join Unitech and what was the key business case for this investment in university partnership.
Thank you very much for your very kind introduction. So my name is Rainer Schmidt-Rudloff, and I'm working within the Corporate Human Resources Department of Infineon now for more than 25 years. And we at Infineon, as Baljan already mentioned, we are a global leader in semiconductor technology. So we are driving decarbonization and digitalization for clean and safe mobility, for green and efficient energy generation and consumption, and of course, for a smart and secure IoT. As you all know, our products, so microchips, are barely visible, but they are crucial in almost all electronic systems in your smartphones or in cars, renewable energy systems, and last but not least, of course, very important also to power AI systems. So I'm focusing in my role as a university relations director on building bridges between academia, academic institutions, and our company, with a focus on employer branding, education, innovation, and of course, a sustainable talent pipeline. And this is where Unitech International comes, of course, into play, because we are, of course, interested in excellent STEM talent. And Unitech is a European excellence program. I would even say a leadership development program for STEM students, for excellent STEM students from many prestigious European universities from diverse countries. So that's why that was, of course, the first, I would say, argument why it could make sense to start here a collaboration. And this collaboration started a long time ago, 25 years ago. At that time, Unitech has been created, and at that time, Infineon has been founded. We have been a company which was well known in Germany at that time, but not so much known or even hardly known in Europe, in other European countries, because we have been a spin of a German company. And that's why our ambition was to make Infineon visible to excellent STEM talents all over Europe. And Unitech, with this academic partner network and 9 universities, for us was an ideal platform to gain this visibility and to get access to excellent STEM talent. And excellent STEM talent is excellent, of course, in an academic sense, but combined, and this is what is Unitech also stands stands for, combined with a certain ambition, leadership ambition, business ambition. And that's what we found in Unitech, and especially in the Unitech students, so those students who are subscribing for the program.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Indeed, a very timely collaboration that has emerged over 2 decades ago. That's, I find, also very interesting of how they were on your radar. So I'm actually very also curious to hear how maybe this collaboration evolved over the years and how it perhaps also affected the way then Infineon would generally conduct those kinds of relationships.
First of all, I think it's very important to set the right expectations within the company. Starting such a collaboration or a membership in such a program, that does not mean that in the first year you already harvest a lot. Yeah? This is very important also to communicate internally, that there's the right expectation setting. One of the most important learnings is it's not only about paying a membership fee. This is only one part. The other part is really to engage in the program. And this is where Unitech also offers companies a lot of opportunities how they can engage with the students, because the students not only have to do one semester abroad in one of the academic partner institutions, they also have to do an international internship. So they are obliged to do an international internship in the corporate partner companies. And then there are different individual coachings. So there are 3 weeks of coaching, and also within these coaching, companies can provide case studies, for example, and company advisors, and you can be involved in the program with your colleagues. And even in the beginning of the program, when the students are selected, there are assessment centers, and we are sending assessors, so company people, to the assessment centers in order to already select the right people. So I would think this is very important. Right expectation setting, start small, and then grow in the program. It's important to always communicate the success stories, also internally. This is very important. And then, of course, you mentioned it already, Belgium. It's already a long time running thing. Continuity is, of course, not only key, it's also a success factor. You cannot switch on, switch off such kind of programs. You need a commitment over a longer time, over a longer period. And then we could increase year on year the amount of internships. And then we had the first hirings and so on. Over the years, the program evolved and was more and more established also in the company. And the more established the program is, the more you can harvest.
I couldn't help but notice that, yet again, trust is a very important foundation also when you're engaged in a program like that. And I can also imagine how important it is to then have this continuity indeed. But then you already talked a little bit about how you would go about building this strong talent pipeline. And now if we will go a bit deeper, maybe you can also tell us a little bit the most valuable components of that program in terms of, I guess, I'm also wondering from the perspective of how can we better prepare the talent, the technology leaders, because from what you are telling me, there's so many different things that Unitech provides in terms of industry exposure, academic exchange, personal coaching. Are there any elements that you would see are essential for building that talent pipeline, and why Unitech is so important in the collaboration with Infineon?
Yeah, sure. The Unitech students, they tell us what's the most important thing. And the most important element for them, and this is also, I think, a bit the USP of Unitech, is the individual coaching. Because this is really outstanding, and this is really a differentiating factor to a pure academic exchange program. And in addition, you get within these 3 coaching weeks, you get feedback, you get industrial company exposure, because coaches can be from the companies as well. You are working in diverse teams with your peer students on case studies, on real case studies from companies. And then, and this is, of course, the most important thing, this is the gift, you get feedback. You get an individual feedback on your personality, on your development. And I can really confirm that it's amazing when we see the students entering the program, and then 1.5, 2 years later, when they leave the program, in terms of personality, it's amazing what they have achieved. And they are also, they are looking for this development, and they are ready to accept the feedback and really to develop further. And this is, to my opinion, this is the most important element of the whole program, and very important for the students, for every single personality.
It's all about people, isn't it? I really appreciate that the student gets such attention and that they're really being guided through the process with coaching and mentoring. So then I'm not wondering really why Infineon would even hire those, because I know that you hire some of those students as a result of the program. But what would you say differentiates those students from others in a talent pool? How do you think those students actually contribute to Infineon's innovation culture?
I think this is very important and a very good question, of course. And I would phrase it as it is the Unitech attitude. As I mentioned Unitech is a leadership development program. So students, excellent students who apply for Unitech, they have already the ambition, I would say. They are interested in growing further, in taking over maybe leadership responsibility one time on their professional way. Then the second point, all these students are selected students. So they have to pass an assessment, a one-day assessment center. From the excellent applicants, we select the best. So that's why amongst these Unitech students, you have a very high, I would say, quality level. And in our company, when I talk to hiring managers, Unitech is, I would say it's already a quality label. So they know what's in it. When they see, it's a Unitech student, then they know what they get in terms of performance, in terms of potential, in terms of ambition. They make a difference. And it's a highly diverse group because they are coming from different countries, not only Germany, but France, Italy, the northern countries, UK, and so on. So there's a huge, I would say, regional, and they bring in different perspectives from different academic systems as well. We have, and this is also a very convincing point, we have a relatively high share in women. Because it's a STEM program, but we are mostly 35% female talents in this program, which is, of course, also highly attractive for us to get these female STEM talents also. And at the end of the day, when they are here, when they're doing an internship, they perform. They convince us with performance, with their potential, with their communication skills, how they behave. So really great personalities.
Do you want to be a part of a global community where universities, businesses, and public organizations come together to solve the world's biggest challenges? At UIIN, we equip our members with the skills, tools, and strategies they need to create impactful partnerships that drive real-world change. Whether it's upskilling your team, strengthening your institution's partnership efforts, or becoming more entrepreneurial, UIIN empowers you with the knowledge and support you need. Join us today. Visit uiin.org to find the best plan for your organization.
That's very wonderful to hear, and especially the variety, I guess, of the portfolio of different profiles that you can get. That's very impressive. Which makes me wonder, what role do the university play, in particular, in preparing for this program? Is what do they do to support their students on this journey?
They do, of course, a lot. So our academic partners are very crucial for the success of the whole program because they lay the foundation with their excellent academic education. Then they are organizing in their universities the promotion, the selection process, and they are hosting all the events. We have the midterm week, the end of year startup week, where all this coaching then takes place, where the case studies takes place, and so on. So they are offering all their expertise in, so to say, organizing big education events in their premises. And these events are changing from event to events. When you are in the program, 3 different universities in these 3 different events. So also this, of course, helps to broaden the horizon. So the academic institution bring in also a lot of variety and diversity, also, I would say, academic culture-wise. And this is also very enriching also to see for the students, because they not only experience the academic environment in their academic semester abroad, where they really deep dive in one country, in one university, but through the events in the other universities, they get also a glimpse and an idea of academic cultures in other universities, in other countries. And this is a plus as well, of course.
Now, talking about the industry perspective in general and, programs like UNITEC, and there might be other facilitated spaces for how this collaboration can be organized. What are the challenges in collaborating with universities outside of this program? Because again, this is an orchestrated way to engage, which I think obviously makes it very, or somewhat easier, at least for both parties involved. But what are some of the barriers that you notice when it comes to creating those talent pipelines? Feel free to talk about UNITEC, obviously, but also how would you go about creating those talent pipelines outside of the program as well?
I think when we talk about a university company collaboration on different levels in different areas, whether it's research or innovation or talent or education, then of course we all know that we are coming from different worlds, so to say. We are different organizations. On the one hand, we have public institutions, public academic institutions, which have to follow certain regulations and so on and so forth. They have, of course, I would say, scientific ambitions, but scientific excellence is measured in a different way. And companies, we have different KPIs. And we are, in terms of speed, time to market is important, and profitability is important, of course. So these are different KPIs which are completely different from the academic world. And this is, of course, important to know. That's why we need solutions where this difference, this structural, systemic difference, has not a negative impact on the way how we collaborate. So that's why expectation setting is very important. When we start a collaboration with university, we have to be, I would say, patient and not expect the first results in the first 3 months, to take it from a company perspective. On the other hand, sometimes universities, they would like to have a comprehensive collaboration over 5 years with I don't know how many money involved. This is maybe a bit too much. And then companies are a bit more reluctant, because my recommendation would be start small, review what you are doing, and then grow together. Because sometimes you have to test it, and you mentioned it already, Belgium, trust is very important. And you have to build trust. And you can build trust in smaller steps, then later on with continuity, with commitment from both sides, with transparency about the goals both sides have, then a sustainable collaboration could work, especially when it creates a win-win situation. So both sides can harvest, and very important is, of course, through the process, a trustful communication, regular communication on eye level.
I couldn't agree more. I think indeed it all takes time, and you talked about managing expectations and having a transparent communication, which both are obviously very important. And I really see the big role that platforms like UNITEC can play in this area. So it's great to hear that there are some dedicated spaces where the talent pipeline can be facilitated in such a way that you receive a little bit of a support when it comes to setting up those partnerships. But that even makes me wonder whether strategic partnership is something that everyone should be striving for, maybe because there are some of the collaborations that could just be focusing on the smaller elements. Just like you said, it's impossible to reach something just overnight. But maybe just to also address some of the universities that are looking to strengthen ties with industry, what do you think they should then be doing specifically on this education or talent element? Are there any sort of already proven tips that you would give to your university partners, or even working with UNITEC partners as well?
And even beyond UNITEC. So universities, they have their strengths in the academic education, and it's excellent in many academic places and institutions. Where we can support or maybe help or add value is, I would say, the industrial, the practical elements, adding to the theoretical education at the university, which is excellent, the scientific. We can add really practical exposure. We can add, for example, just guest lecturers, who really tell to the students, okay, that what you have learned in theory, we apply it in our daily business for these kinds of products and applications or technologies. We can, for example, invite students to our premises and give expert talks, can show them our labs, can show them how we drive digitalization and decarbonization, how this is directly linked and connected to their studies. We can give this, I would say, industrial feedback to the students, and very often that can be also a great motivation, because theory is important, and this is of course the foundation. All these, I would say, theoretical lectures and so on, and subjects that sometimes it's difficult really for the students. So why do I have to learn this? And we come from the other side, and we can say, this is the rocket which go to the moon, and for this you are learning this formula, or this is the renewable energy system, or this is the autonomous driving system where we need this knowledge. And I think this is very important in terms of motivate young students, that they have chosen the right study program, and that they see, okay, at the end of the day, at the end of my academic journey, there's a professional journey and offers a lot of opportunities, and I can really have an impact with my study on, for example, avoiding climate change or fostering digitalization.
That's very interesting, because I think it also translates back to maybe just the general trend of changing skills needs. So maybe we can also talk a little bit about how can we get the skills right, because now we talked a little bit about the students and maybe the talent that joins Infineon after they have graduated, or also during their training as they're joining for the internships. But maybe you can also tell us a little bit about how, for example, Infineon goes about generally this upskilling and reskilling game that is also quite crucial at this age of rapid technological development. So maybe there's also some examples that you can share through collaboration.
This is very important. Re and upskilling is a constant, permanent, I would say, challenge and also necessity. When a student graduates with a master, then it's fine for that year, but 5 years later, maybe he or she has to learn again new things. And we know, of course, about this. And of course, I think, and in this training, reskilling, upskilling, universities also can play a very important role, because also scientific reskilling and scientific upskilling is sometimes necessary. And sometimes when I discuss with hiring managers, they tell me, okay, we are hiring for attitude and we are training for skills. So the attitude is more important, and also the readiness and the willingness to continuously learn on my professional journey as well. That's why sometimes it's not necessary that a candidate has really, I would say, 100% of all the skills for the job, but he or she has to have the right attitude. And then we can then focus on upskilling, on training. And so it's not my field. I'm not the head of talent development, but we have at Infineon, we have, of course, a comprehensive training landscape. We have academies. We have a bunch of solutions, training solutions, from LinkedIn Learning to class learning offers. And then, of course, this is something which we are constantly focusing on as well, in order to, again, develop the people further.
Being mindful of time, maybe I can go to my next and last question. And we always like to ask a question that is a little bit more forward-looking. So looking ahead, how do you see the landscape of university industry interaction, collaboration, engagement, partnerships changing in the next, say, 5 to 10 years? We already talked a lot about the technological development and how we need to be on time with all of those changes as well. So maybe you can talk a little bit more about that.
To my understanding and to my opinion, the landscape get even richer, I would say, more diverse, which leads to a comprehensive, I would say, ecosystem approach. So it's not only bilateral agreements or collaborations, it's ecosystem collaboration, it's multilateral collaborations, it's maybe not only one, but more universities, maybe other stakeholders involved. So this is becoming more and more important. On the other hand, what we also see is, when we look into the collaborations, that there is a trend into having, I would say, memorandums of understandings, general agreements with a more strategic focus. So they are not going into the detail, but there is a strategic focus and there's a strategic commitment from both sides for collaboration. And then later on in the details, we will see what we will really do together precisely. But this is, I think, this ecosystem, multilateral, and then on the other hand, also a more strategic long-term approach. This is how I expect the overall university relations arena evolving.
Thank you so much. I'm quite excited to see where this journey will take us next. Also observing those trends together. Really appreciate the conversation that we have had today. Thank you so much, Rainer. And thanks so much, everyone, for joining.
Thank you very much for having me. It was my pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to today's discussion. Follow UIN on LinkedIn, and if you are enjoying our podcast, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review in your podcast platform of choice to help other people find this content too.